Welcome to another episode of Cubfidential. It is I, Mr. Cubfidentiality, Denzel Snipes, aka Jay Nelson, and we're bringing you yet another episode of some of the best footage after dark. But before we get started, let's bring in the host. He's the Brooklyn bad boy, the pride of New York, Mr. JB Ellis. Get in here, brother. You freeze up on me? Hey, you there?
Going on, Jay?
Oh, okay. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, you kind of froze
You
up
hear
when I
me?
brought you in. Yeah, I can hear you.
My Wi-Fi is going after dark right now. It's saying no.
it must not want to show. They're still gonna get one. All right. Well, I'll drop off here, and then if you want to bring on the first guest.
Let's do it. So up first we got Jenn. We're going to talk some Cubs versus those other guys in the division, the city. I mean, the White Sox. Not a good week for the Cubs. I mean, it was bad all around. I'm not here.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, sorry. I was being a little bit of a smarty pants, so that's a good thing, probably. But, hey, JB, happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, it wasn't a good week. It hasn't been the best month for the Cubs, but they lost the series. The first game 3-1, and the second game 4-3. The next meeting is on May 28th at home for the White Sox. So yeah, the White Sox continue to own the series, 70 in total, 72-64. The largest victory was the White Sox last year, and it was 10-0. The longest winning streak, though, in the series is actually the Cubs from June of 2007 to June of 2008. But yeah, for whatever reason, the White Sox have their number. I don't know if it's because goes back to when the White Sox came into town and they've always thought they had something to prove or what. But yeah, the Cubs just don't own this series for whatever reason. The White Sox have always had their number.
I mean, again, I feel like it's redundant. Week after week, we're talking about the same things. Mm-hmm. 4 runs in one game, 3 runs in the other. The Cubs lose both games. It comes a point where, it's just not working. We're almost in the middle of May.
Right.
You're losing to your crosstown rival who, you didn't only lose, you got swept by them, which is an embarrassment to lose to the White Sox. They're having their own troubles. You let them come into Wrigley, come across town and just, basically own you in both games.
Yep.
What's the reaction from the Cubs from this?
The Cubs aren't happy, obviously, but they've been somewhat quiet. But they're promising for a different outcome when they go to Guaranteed Field at the end of May. So our Guaranteed Rate Field, sorry. But they've just got to get this together. They've got to realize, like I said last week, I don't know what they need to do. They need to do some unity or something. I don't know, sit around and sing Kumbaya, because they just don't have it right now, and they need to. They
figured out how to lose. They're becoming really good at that. Not hitting, excellent. Timely hitting, not there. Pitching, you can't blame the pitching. You give up 4 runs and 3 runs. You can't blame the pitching staff.
No. And I was stretching before, but yeah, we can't keep blaming the pitching. I still say it's got to be something with coaching. There's something going on in the bullpen. We don't know. I don't know what it is. Like I've said before, I don't know if it's the fact that there's so much fighting within the family that owns the Cubs, or the fact that the owners don't seemingly care that much anymore now that they won the World Series in 2016 and put us in a parallel universe. But at this point, the lovable losing Cubs, that's not a really good moniker for them right now, because it's frustrating, especially after they decimated their own team last year. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Javi on the White Sox now?
No, Detroit.
I thought he was. Okay. He's in Detroit. I don't know why I thought he was on the White Sox for some reason. But yeah, they've just got to get together. They need to bring back whatever pizzazz they had, which in my opinion was Javi. Back in the late 80s or early 90s, you had Sosa, you had Jerome, you had all these other guys, and they had it. They didn't have it to win the World Series, but they had it to win enough. Like Jerome had the longest winning streak or batting streak in the entire history of the Cubs. What are we missing here? Like, what's going on? Like comparing history to current day.
So who's going to step up and lead this team and turn it around?
I mean, I don't know. Rucker, maybe. I'm not sure who's going to do it. There are a couple of people that could do it. I don't think it's fair to put it on Suzuki right now because he's still so young and still, bringing new, like literally no disrespect at all. Actually, mad respect, but fresh off the boat. Who do you think could step up and take it?
I don't know. You have a guy like Hayward who's been there for ages and just doesn't perform. He's underwhelming. I'm not sure why they keep trotting him out every day. He just doesn't excite me.
Right.
I think Happ has a chance. He's young, but he could definitely step up. Contreras should be the leader as a catcher. Catchers are natural leaders. So, they control the defense and the pitching staff. So, he's a guy that can come out there. Hendricks doesn't seem like he's a very vocal leader as far as the pitching staff goes. I don't know who you guys have on the pitching staff that could step up and, get everyone to come together. But it's not the pitcher's problem at this point.
It's really not. They're doing their job.
Yeah. The defense is letting them down. The offense is abysmal. We're going into starting to get warm. It was 90 degrees today in Chicago. It's not fun to have hot weather and a horrible baseball team that stinks like garbage. That's what they're playing like. How many wins did they get last week?
2? 1? How many wins did they have last week? Let me look that up real quick.
Yeah, I think it was a goose egg. They got swept by the Sox and they got swept by the Dodgers.
Yeah, you're right. They did get swept by both. I know they beat the Padres last night.
Yeah, they're playing horrible baseball.
Yeah,
they need to wake up. First of all, you got to have fun. You're getting paid to play a game. You're getting the will to go out and play a Wrigley. You get to play Friday afternoon games. You get to play with the Ivy as the weather gets nice. You got some of the best fans in the world. You got to have fun. And when you have fun, good things happen in baseball.
Exactly. And I lied. The Cubs were beating the Padres earlier. Now they're down 1. So I lied a minute ago. I apologize. On the plus side, after tomorrow's game against the Padres, they do have a couple of days off before their next game, which is on the 13th against Arizona. So,
the schedule's a little tough right now with the White Sox, who were one of the favorites to win their division. They had the Dodgers last week, so they played a tough week of games, especially coming after Atlanta and everything. But you got to step up. You got to have fun. When you're pitching.
And Atlanta's not that great. I'm sorry to cut you off, but Atlanta's not the team they were last year at all.
No, not at all.
Like they have World Series hangover or whatever. But sorry for cutting you off.
Oh, no worries. But yeah, they're playing like a team that is not going to go anywhere.
Agreed. And it's like they almost don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah, I just think that they need to have fun. Right now they're 8.5 games back, and what's today, May 10th?
Yeah.
That's a long way back to be in the beginning of May. It's a long summer, and it gets really hot in Chicago.
I have a question, and this just came to mind while I was doing some research. So, as we know, the Cub is implied young and inexperienced, right?
Okay.
like Cub Bear, things like that. Do you think the name of the Cubs could be affecting their mental?
No, not
Okay.
at all. I think that it's a proud franchise. It's not like
Oh yeah,
when
absolutely.
you look at teams that in my mind that are just cursed at this point, and it could have something to do with the ownership. I mean, the way that they broke the team apart last year, because they weren't that far out last year when they went ahead and traded their core three guys besides Contreras.
Right.
They were still in a spot where they could have made a run, and they just bailed and said, that's it. I don't want to take a chance. We're going to lose these guys anyway because we're not paying them. We want to keep our money. We're not going to invest in winning. We're going to try and rebuild. So doing that, obviously, it's going to be hard. You're not going to go out there and be in contention right away. But at the same time, with the problem was supposed to be your pitching staff and your relievers, and you're losing to your crosstown rival. Give up 7 runs in 2 games and you score 4. There's a problem. They need to start hitting timely, and I feel like I said that the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, we've had this conversation a couple of times, and it stinks because the Cubs at least had it. I don't know if they have it right now. They did have it, but again, they decimated their team. They gave up their winning combo. Contreras hasn't been the same this season, really. Like, he hasn't stepped up like he has in the past. I usually have heard like at least a couple of talking points from him. Heard nothing really. So I want to know why he's keeping his mouth shut. Something's going on there. But yeah, he's just like not saying anything newsworthy or noteworthy whatsoever. So he needs to step back up. And I know you brought that up a few minutes ago, but yeah, like these guys just need to come together. Like I said at the beginning, sing kumbaya. Like I said last week, find a universal passion project to go help, the city of Chicago. Go help, the people in Wrigleyville. Just go help. Get out of their own mental. Like, take the next couple of days and help.
It's maybe that they're out in San Diego right now, probably the nicest place in the world. I don't know if
San Diego.
82 degrees and sunny every day. Whether it's January 1st or July 31st, it's going to be 82 degrees and sunny. You're going to have a great weather, beautiful beaches. Maybe being out there will refresh their mind. And they'll relax a little bit and just start having fun and playing baseball.
This doesn't sound like it makes sense, but in my mind it does, and we understand it's late for me. But I'm still mad at my husband because last time we went to San Diego, we stayed in this epic, like brand new Hilton that overlooked the gas lamp district and the bay. I recommend they go do that. We were on the 32nd floor. Go do it.
What's going on? Well, yes, the Yankees just won a home run by Aaron Judge about 10, 15 minutes ago.
Oh, nice.
They hit a hanging curveball. They won 6-5 over the Jays. Completely different team. They're having fun. They're coming together. I think that's what the Cubs need to do. Just go back to basics. Enjoy themselves. You're getting paid. You're getting paid to play a game.
You're getting paid handsomely.
Do the little things. Just take your mind off winning and losing. And just, go out there, hit the ball the other way, bunt, steal a base. Make the game smaller than what it is. Instead of playing 9 innings at a time, play an inning at a time.
That's all you can do, a minute by a minute. And because baseball is the one game that it ain't over till it's over.
Yes.
Because you never know what's going to happen.
So you're the manager of the Cubs right now, right? What are you doing right now to fix this team in the next week?
If I'm Rossi, I'm probably shutting down a little bit and I got to get out of my own mental. But me personally, and this is just who I am, I would honestly, while in San Diego, get everybody to go do a team building event. It sounds dumb. It sounds trite. Go do, you're all athletes. Go do some surfboarding lessons, something. Go do, I don't know, go do something that's a little out of the normal. Even heck, go over to Top Golf. Go do that. Hit some balls that you're not feeling pressure, because you go out and you practice doing something else. Like most NFL players will take ballet. So why not now? Why not these guys go hit balls of a different sort too? And just go out, have fun, make some event, like make somebody pick a passion project to focus on once a month. And once a month, like Suzuki will pick something 1 month. Hendricks will pick something another month, Wrecker another month, and go on, because, or even every 2 weeks, and just go do that. Go focus on that. Go help your community, because while you're helping your community with your teammates, you're building that strength, you're building that trust, and that's what's missing.
Yeah, I need to know who the guy that's going to shut the clubhouse door, tell Rossi to get out, we want to have a players-only meeting, and start throwing a chair across the clubhouse and say, let's wake up. You know, let's just wake up and play baseball.
Somebody's
have
got
fun.
to.
Because there's something missing there. And it's going to get hot. It's going to be ugly. And we're going to be talking in the middle of July, the beginning of August, how it's just bad. We're going to win 60 games, and we're going to be like, you know, we're going to get to 100 losses. That's what this is starting to look like.
We're looking for like the number 1 pick right now, and it's ridiculous.
No, I agree. So, Jen, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on earlier tonight on 3 Chicks in a Pod, then Cubfidential, of course. Thursday nights during the season, the NFL Carousel, as well as Pundits Pundit, along with my partner in crime here, Mr. Jacob Christner. And I saw you wave. And then you can also find me on Monday nights on the NBA Carousel. And while my C's are still in it, let's go DPOY, Mr. Smart. Hey, bringing it home. All right.
Yes, and if you guys haven't checked out 3 Chicks in a Pod, 7:30 every Tuesday, probably one of my favorite shows to watch. You don't know what you're missing. Jen, Megan, and Carrie, excellent show. Make sure you check it out. It's only a half hour right after dinner. You got it. If you're on the West Coast, before dinner, right when you get out of work. Great 30 minutes to start your night.
And we started a Facebook page tonight. Thank you, Miss Carrie Johnson, Chiefs Chick. So find us on Facebook, join it. That way we know you guys can see our podcast live as we're streaming there too.
Well, Jen, I appreciate it. You have a great night.
Thanks, you too. Again, happy early birthday. Bye, JB.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, so next. Where are we going next, Mr. Confidentiality? Who are you throwing on the screen with me? Oh, it's Jordan Long.
Hey, JB.
Listen, make me feel good about this last week. Please, give me something. Give me the positive, because I have nothing positive to say about it.
Well, there's only one positive against the Dodgers, and that was we didn't strike out as much. They struck out 24 times. We struck out 23. So that's basically the only positive. I mean, and we scored a run. Hey, we were ahead 1-0 in Sunday's game. Still gave up 7 runs. So at least we got a little early lead. Unfortunately, I can't really give you other good news.
I mean, I can accept getting swept by the Dodgers. I really can. The Dodgers, how much money did they spend? You know, they went out, they got Freddie Freeman in the offseason. They're a perennial powerhouse year after year. They can't win the World Series, but they go out there, and if there's a free agent that's a name that could play on their team, they go and get them. Their pitching staff is phenomenal. You know, Walker Buehler is, you know, a perennial Cy Young candidate. You know, so I don't mind getting swept by them. Yes, I would have liked to have won a game because we're at home, but you know, it's the Dodgers, so I can live with that. It's earlier in the week to the Sox that killed me, but you know, what did you see against the Dodgers that made you say that this team eventually will get to that next level?
It's got to be, honestly. I liked how we were a little bit more patient at the plate than we have been. I mean, I know we only scored 3 runs, but we walked 7 times. It's better than sometimes, but the fact of the matter is we really need our pitching. Unfortunately, our bullpen can hold us for so long, and Ross just goes to the bullpen way too early, and we've talked about this. But the fact of the matter is we also need the offense, and we were getting a little more patient on the plate. I don't know if that's something they've worked on this past week, but I did like that we were a little more patient. We are still going after balls outside the zone, but the fact of the matter is I did like that we had 7 walks, so that is a little bit of a positive in the right direction.
I mean, all right, over the weekend, they gave up, 20 runs? I mean, granted, the game Friday got rained out, so you had a doubleheader Saturday, which already that makes it more difficult because now you got to be careful how you manage the bullpen. We both agree Ross does not know how to manage the bullpen. He's not good at making these changes. So now you're already short-staffed. You're going to have guys working extra hard, and then you go on top of that, you give up 13 runs in 18 innings. How can you manage a pitching staff over 18 innings when you're just so quick to the hook?
You can't. I mean, that's the bottom line. And we've talked about this. It's the same thing we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks. It's Ross trying to be, he was a catcher. He's trying to be a catcher, getting in the mind of how do we win games? Well, you're not going to win games if you go to the bullpen so early. You need to let these guys pitch out of jams. I saw, some of our starting pitchers going 3 or 4 innings. Yeah, I understand we gave up 5-6 runs, but you still need to at least somehow get your pitching staff to go into the 6th, 7th innings, save your bullpen, and we're just not doing that. I don't know if it's because Ross isn't saying the right things to this team or whoever the pitching coach isn't giving him the right scouting reports. It's very frustrating to see that this team does have talent other than, Kyle Hendricks is our number one. Stroman just went on the disabled list, but we have pitchers. It's just not coming together right now. And I know, like you were talking about to Jen, we're 10 games out of first place, and it's just unacceptable. I could see if this keeps going in this direction, Rossi's not going to last until June if we keep going this way.
We're a month and 3 days into the season. So what's that, 33 days? 33 days, we're 10 games out of first place. Do you know how bad you have to play to be 10 games out of first place?
I do. And unfortunately, we're just playing bad baseball right now. And I don't know what the fix is. I mean, we can't just, trade off these guys. And that's what hurt us last year. And I think the guy to honestly ruffle a feather, so to speak, to have a players only meeting is Jason Hayward. He did it in the World Series in 2016. I realize that's 6 years ago, but he's the one guy that needs to have a bigger voice in the clubhouse. And I know if you have a fun clubhouse, you're winning baseball games. I don't think our clubhouse is fun right now, and that's why we're losing games.
Okay, so you say Hayward, right? So let's look at what Hayward's done so far, right? So Hayward currently is hitting, hitting a whopping 232.
Wow.
With 13 hits and 17 strikeouts. So he struck out 4 more times than he's gotten hits already. And you want him to be the vocal leader? I get that, he's the grizzled vet on the team, and in past years he was a lot better, but do you think he could be the guy with his performance?
I don't think it's what he has to do with his performance. Yeah, you're hitting over the Mendoza line, but I just know he can be the vocal leader. Then who do you have? Contreras? I think he's hitting a little bit better, but this team is just so – I think we're missing the veteran presence of a Javier Baez, a Chris Bryant, and the fact of the matter is you let those guys go. There isn't really a vocal leader right now, and that's what we're missing. We need somebody to step up. Could that be Contreras? Sure, it could be. Could it be Hayward? Sure, but we maybe even Ian Happ to be the vocal leader, but we don't have that right now.
Is the problem the Ricketts are running this team like it's the Kansas City Royals, or is the problem that, we just don't have the veteran presence?
I would have to go mostly to the Ricketts family because they're the ones that, built up the Cubs. And, well, of course, that was our president of baseball operations. But the Ricketts are signing these checks, and they're the ones that say, hey, let's go out and get these free agents. I know they're trying to save money, but at what cost? Cost of losing? I mean, you want fans there. I know Wrigley's going to be packed every game, but by about August, who's going to want to see this team? Are you really going to go and want to buy tickets to see a team that's doing very well? I know I also put the blame on Jed Hoyer, who's now the general manager. But the fact of the matter is yes, we don't have a veteran, and I partially put that on the fact the front office, because they didn't go out and get free agents. We had a chance to sign some of these big name free agents, and they just passed. I don't know if they're trying to save money since last year and the year before were a little weird, or what they're doing. But I definitely have to put some of the blame on the Ricketts family. I also have to put some of the blame on the players because they're not gelling right now, and it's just frustrating. And you need that veteran presence. Will they get that on the trade deadline? I doubt it. So I'll put the blame on the Ricketts family because they're the ones running this team.
I mean, 33 days into the season, you're not going to look at the trade deadline for help. You're going to be selling. Mm-hmm. And the only pieces that the Cubs have to sell right now would be your two starters, Stroman and Hendricks, and Contreras. There is nobody else that anybody would want. I mean, Suzuki's in his first year in the majors, so you're not going to get a lot for him unless people are very high on him. And I don't think he's shown enough, even though he's had a good start. And Contreras, you get rid of him, you got rid of pretty much all of your positional players from when your team was, your team. So what do? You have nothing to give away.
Unless you're just looking at saying this year's a wash and you want to get prospects for the next couple of years, that's the only way I can look at it. But you're definitely right. Do you get rid of Contreras? He's such a great catcher, though. I would hate to lose him. Hendricks, I could see him going because why would he want to stay on a losing ball club? And then Stroman's in his first year with the Cubs, and it hasn't gone well. And we saw what the Cubs had done with some of the, even Jock Peterson. They got him last year, and they traded him off for assets. So it's just a matter of, do you want to focus on bringing up prospects once the trade deadline goes, or are you looking and going into the future, or what are we really doing? That's what I'm going to be saying if we start getting rid of these players. But you're right. We don't really have a lot of trade value except for Hendricks, Stroman, and Contreras.
What's the identity right now of the Cubs?
I don't think we have one. I mean, like you guys were saying, we're just a young team right now. We don't have an identity. We're still trying to gel. I don't know if the young players are really being a Chicago Cub yet. But still, you have to figure out an identity, and we don't have one right now, and that's very disappointing.
So right now, you're the general manager, right? We're May 10th. How much longer are you going to put up with Rossi? Do you say, okay, the season's not already, we're 10 games out, let him play it out and see maybe he finds something, he learns how to manage? Do you get rid of him now and maybe see if there's somebody, one of the coaches that you can put in an interim capacity and find something that maybe they can change something? And not that you're going to win, but the wild card's always a possibility. So do you do that, or do you get rid of them and go outside the organization? There are guys out there that can manage teams that don't have jobs. Do you go and do that? What do you do if you're the GM right now?
I think you wait it out this month and maybe into June and just say we're playing for next year. If you can't improve in the standings, especially the wild card is there for the taking if we really want it. And then you look at your standings maybe in, I would say, June, July, see where you are. And if you're 15 games back, which they could be in the Central Division, and maybe 8 games back with the wild card, then you let Rossi go. There needs to be some changes. And of course, I wasn't an advocate of getting Rossi. I think if you do end up firing the manager, you have to look outside the organization. You got to bring somebody who has not been associated with the Chicago Cubs to bring him in. I know that's what happened with Joe Madden. He was one of the best guys out there, but he didn't have ties to the Cubs organization, and look at what he did. I think you do have to go outside the organization to get a new manager and maybe light a fire under them for next year.
Do you think the asset of having Wrigley Field is actually a detriment to the Cubs at this point? Because no matter what, you're going to have a lot of fans July and August because everyone wants to go to Wrigley. I'm going to Wrigley twice this month. I don't even live in Chicago. So, you're going to get people that want to go there. Do you think that actually hurts the team? Because, if you don't win, we're still going to get fans packing the stadium.
That's exactly what it is. It's definitely a detriment because you're saying, well, we can still get the ticket sales, the beer sales, the food sales. And who cares about the product on the field? I definitely think that, yeah, it's an historical stadium. I've been there a couple of times just to, as a Cubs fan, just to see what it's all like. And people who are from out of town, such as yourself, you're a Yankees fan. Of course, you have, ties to Chicago, but you're still thinking, oh, I want to go to Wrigley Field. Great place to watch a ball game. You're going to have a lot of outsiders do that. And it's definitely a detriment to the team because you're going to get those sales. But what's really going on the field? You're going to have a party in the bleachers, for crying out loud. So I definitely think it definitely hurts Wrigley Field and the Chicago Cubs because it's false hope saying, oh, we're going to have, a stadium full of what? Fans to watch a team on the field that's not very good?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So, Jordan, where can people find you?
You can follow me here on Cubfidential. I am on the NBA Carousel as well on Mondays, as well as the NFL Carousel during the season on Thursdays. You can follow me at Sports Scoop One. I have a blog that I write Mondays through Fridays with podcasts on Fridays, as well as I have a link to my live stream that I post on Fridays. That's called Under Review, which is Colorado sports with a sprinkling of national headlines as well.
Thank you so much, Jordan. We'll see you next week. I mean, we've already started off this week already better. We got a win. That's one more than last week. We're only at one, so go figure. Thanks again, Jordan. What do we got next going on here? Is somebody going to give me some good news tonight, Jacob? The Pundits Pundit. What can you give me that's good news?
Let's see. It's 3-3 so far. Chicago and San Diego in the fifth inning. I guess that's good news.
Listen, it's 10:30 on a Tuesday night. Terrible Tuesday. Terrible Tuesday.
Well, let's see. Also, Miami won 120-85 over Philly. I guess that's good news for half the team.
No, that's horrible. That means John Shear's happy. We don't like that.
So, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. So, Jacob, I'm going to start with you because I don't know. I'm a George Steinbrenner fan. I like to get rid of managers that don't win. It's May 10th. You've had a month and 3 days. You're 8.5 games out of first place. Why am I keeping you as a manager? Sell me on why I keep David Rose.
At this point in time, there's not enough minor league teams that need managers right now. You got to keep them on just in case. But, the biggest issue that they had last night, we're going to talk about Hendricks in a minute. They got a good win last night, and that was one. But even then, with the 2-out hits, they had too many misses also. They had too many misses. That could have been a 13-14-0 game, and it was still 6. But one of the issues by itself, he shifts too many times. Way too many shifts in way too inopportune times in the first place. It's like he's trying to be, like I said, all the time, he's trying to be Madden because he sat next to Madden for that year or two or however long he was there. And it's all he knows as far as a manager. He doesn't have any real experience like in the minors anywhere else. And he needed that in the first place. So he's kind of out of his element, he keeps saying.
So here's my question to you. The shift is definitely, not my favorite thing, but it's part of baseball right now. We can't get away from that. Is it on the players because they're not hitting the other way? Or is it on the coaching staffs because they're not coaching their guys, spending enough time in spring training, going over the fundamentals? Listen, you need to, in that situation, go the other way. Lay down a bunt. Who are you blaming in that situation?
Well, last night he got lucky. Because San Diego did not hit it opposite field once. So, he got lucky. So you get the White Sox, you get the Dodgers, and they just blew them completely sky high, blew the shifts completely sky high. And it's one of these things where the biggest issue with having last night happen is the fact that he's going to keep it going now that he's been successful. Go ahead.
But on the flip side, on the hitting side, when the Cubs are hitting and they're shifting against them, and hitters aren't going the other way enough, and that's why they're shifting, Who are you blaming for that? Do you blame the batter, or do you blame the coaching staff that's not working with them?
You can only blame the batter 50% of the time, because here's the truth. And the other 50% of the time, you got to remember, when a batter is hot, they can go anywhere. When a batter isn't, it doesn't matter what you get, because they're going to do everything. They're going to try to pull. See, when a batter's cold, they'll do everything to get themselves. They're not going to try to do the good habits anymore. They're not going to try to go opposite field. They're not going to try to do anything. They're just going to try to pull. They're going to try to do everything right. So you can only blame them 50% of the time. You got to blame the coaches the rest.
We need something positive to talk about. Let's try and think back of some good Cubs memories. You know what? I have an idea. Let's talk about.
Real quick before. Can I bring something up quick before?
No. Yeah, what's up?
No. Let's bring up, before we bring up the memory. I know what you're talking about. I brought this up over and over. You've heard me. Right now, I'm saying this. Jacob deGrom has just missed. He's going to miss 2 more months. His scapula in his, in his shoulder.
Right.
And it's like everybody, the ESPNs, every single person, social media, they get all over him, all over the Jacob deGrom. This is the way to do it. He is the greatest. He's all that stuff. You don't hear anything about Kyle Hendricks. Last night was a masterpiece, and you know that. That was an absolute masterpiece. And it was 3 hits. It was a shutout. He only had 28 balls the whole game. And he didn't give up a 3-ball count until the 9th inning. It was that good. And it's like, and he never threw anything over 88 miles an hour. And this is where I keep talking about this is what I talk about with every single baseball, all the baseball academies, all that. Any coach that tells kids from 7, 8, 9, 10 years old to start learning how to throw a curveball, any of that stuff, any of the bad habits you give these kids instead of teaching the location. And then you get these kids that are 17 or 18 and they're getting these elective Tommy Johns so they can throw faster. Like that. And then they'll blow their arm out. Then they'll eventually blow their arm out again. But no one teaches Kyle. And what Kyle did last night is, see, the thing is, yeah, he gives up his home runs. Yeah, he'll have his bad games. But he doesn't quit. And he doesn't quit. He just keeps his even-handed. And this is what I'm trying to bring up is like we need to show more of Kyle and show more of these in these academies. Maybe it looks boring to the world, but when it's on, it wins World Series. You remember 16.
Listen, he's a good pitcher, but he's way too inconsistent for my liking.
I agree. No,
I
agree.
I can't have him as an ace of my staff because of that. I like him. I think he's a stand-up guy. He doesn't complain. He doesn't do anything that makes me want to knock him, except for he's inconsistent.
Completely agree. It's like, but the thing is, he got inconsistent when they took away the substances, and I'll have to admit that. But the biggest thing about it is, I'm not disagreeing that he is inconsistent whatsoever. What I'm saying is his hot streaks. When he gets hot, he gets about. And remember, he had a 2-month hot streak last year. He got him to 14 wins.
Yes.
When he has these hot streaks, he's impossible. But do you know what the greatest thing about this also? He's had maybe one IL in the last 7 years. One. And that was like last year. A couple of years ago.
He's dependable. He doesn't get hurt. He goes out there every 5 days. There's never an issue with that. It's just he's got to stop giving up the long ball and throw strikes like he does usually. And I think he's fine, but he's just got to find that consistency.
And I'm agreeing with that. But my thing about this is I believe that works. That will work itself out or it won't. But who knows? And he's getting a little older anyway. So we're going to figure. And personally, if he gets bigger, if it gets bigger and he gets hotter, he's going to the Mets anyway, considering they're not going to have DeGrom. They're going to need another pitcher. So they're going to replace the power pitcher, their overpowering superhero, with the dependable guy. And that's exactly what I think is going to happen. But this is what I'm bringing. This is what I'm bringing to everybody is And thank you, Dom, for bringing my point up. It's got to get to that point where you understand that this type of pitcher is what coaches want. They want that dependability, and with the hot streaks or the cold streaks they work themselves out. But you can't keep throwing this power pitching, 105 miles an hour, all this stuff, and then get a disabled list. And it's like you can have all that 1.2 ERA, but if you're out by July all the time, this is the point I make.
All right, last question I'm going to bring up before we go down memory lane, because we need some positive going on here.
Sure.
Who is the guy on this team that's going to take over and be the leader and turn this around?
Oh, God.
That's what scares me, and that's why those trades last year were
totally Jan Gomes, I'm telling you. No.
But that's the problem. I mean, the obvious answer is Contreras, but that's if you want to be obvious. But I just don't see him as that type.
I mean, it was to be truthful.
Beyond that, yeah.
But no, if you want the motivator, you get the one time only Hayward, but he can't hit. So I mean, he's still got the great fielding still. But I'm like, what do you do?
Yeah, no, that's I think the problem. All right, so let's go back down memory lane. Let's talk about something that was probably one of the greatest summers in baseball history. There was this guy, Sammy Sosa. Remember him?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He used to come up to bat, and it was must watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
So we were at this point of the season, the beginning of May. What was that like for Sammy Sosa? At that point, did you know it was going to be a special year?
Well, by itself, it was becoming because of it first started with Ken Griffey Jr. and then McGuire came in. So then Sammy, I think Sammy had a hot June, and then it came from there. Remember, he was also 328. That's another thing people forget. It's like much as I was talking about Sammy, I talked about Sammy, and he would as far as his lack of clutch, and he had a lot of lack of clutch. I'm just being honest with this, but this was a special year, and this was 66 home runs. So yeah, after about June, it started becoming very special, very fast.
Yeah. So by this point in May, do you have any idea how many home runs Sosa had?
No, I'd have to look that up to be very, very honest. It's been a long time, but it's like I think his thing was a hot June.
Yes, he did have a hot June. Actually, I just looked it up. As of the 16th of May, he hit his 8th homer. So, it's not looking so hot right now. You're not saying, okay, he's going to get that ridiculous number. So
power hitters don't have hot Aprils and Mays. They don't. The weather's still there, especially in Chicago. The weather's still warming up. Andre Dawson never had a wonderful April himself. You know what I mean? I love watching him, but
yeah, the wind.
April, May.
The wind doesn't start going out until the weather gets warm at Wrigley. That's one of the nice things. When the weather's warm, it becomes a much better park to hit in.
Oh, for sure. No, it was wonderful. It was a wonder. That 98 was it was beautiful to watch, without question. It's like you have Sammy, you had Sammy, you had Mark McGuire, and something, Kerry Wood. And you had Kerry Wood, and you got guess what? You had 20.
Yes.
You had 20, and it's like we talked about this, and it's like that was a special year. But thing was, that was a wild card. Then they end up getting swept. But so then after all the years, I remember it was 89 the last time before that. So you were just happy to be there at that point.
Yeah. So what was before the home run race? What was Sosa's claim to fame?
Being about 160 pounds on the White Sox. Being about 160 pounds on the White Sox, having a small little head. Let's see. The biggest thing was he was always a power. The thing about him, he was always a power hitter, but he was before that they call the roids, before all that help, he was a lot more inconsistent hitter, and he was also very immature hitter. He was basically at that time like not Nagy. I'm sorry, that's a bad memory. Let's see, Javi.
Okay.
It's like he swung at some horrible balls before. He had great hits, but
the fact that he was a White Sox player, came across town and did phenomenal things with the Cubs, did that make it even more special?
Well, yeah, there's no question about that. But I feel like Dylan Cease is basically making that revenge right now for the White Sox. He's getting that revenge because he came from the Cubs over to the White Sox.
No, definitely. So, where can everybody find you, Jacob?
Got some news before anything. I'm going to say this: you'll find me on Sunday nights with Basket Bros with Jay Nelson, Will Vogel, and Don Narubis. You will find me
before you go on. Let me just tell you, I love Basket Bros. I love the concept of the show. I love the guys on the show. You guys do a phenomenal job. Must watch Sunday TV. If you guys aren't watching, make sure if you're into basketball. If you're not into basketball, if you like old basketball, you're not a fan of today's game, check it out. Worth the time. Sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
No problem. Monday night next year will be on Megan Price's. I'm sorry. Megan Price's. Sorry. Remind me of the carousel. Monday nights. Cubfidential on Tuesday. Thursday's the Pundits Pundit. And I want to give you some news. I was also in a movie. I am in a movie right now called My House. It's about a 40-minute horror movie, which I usually would not. I would be shocked if I would have said a year ago that I'd be in a horror movie. But I am in a horror movie. I had my first poster this year. After 12 years of acting, I've got my first poster. So I am now in a movie and working it out right now. So a lot of going on.
Congratulations. I can't wait to see it.
Well, I'll have to show you guys.
All right. So, Mr. Cubfidentiality, it's that time of the show. I think we need a confrontation to end this. We need something good to end the show because Cubs baseball has not been good right now. So what do we got going this week? Who we got going up?
So the Cubfidential of this week the topic is going to be as of this morning on ESPN.com, the Cubs are power ranked at 21st. So we're gonna have one side arguing if they should be higher or stay where they're at, and one side arguing if they're gonna be lower. Got Mr. Jordan Long on deck.
So Mr. Jordan Long, let's go. You're up. You got 2 minutes. You higher or lower?
I am where they are and a little bit higher. Well, if you look at it, they're 21st, 9-15 record, according to the ESPN. But if you look at the team ahead of them, the Cleveland Guardians and the Boston Red Sox, you could probably differentiate between the two of them. But I would have to say that the Cubs are playing a little bit better baseball than the Boston Red Sox right now. They're just having a hard time to gel like we are. But I have to say, if you look at other rankings, we're at 23. I would have to say 21 is perfect. We're not playing good baseball. Our defense is a little bit not very good right now. Our hitting's okay. We're not getting the pitching. I think 21st is fine. But if you look at who's behind us, yeah, those teams are having a lot of trouble. So I think justifying us 21st because of the fact that we're not playing well and we're not gelling and we're having not a very fun time, as we've talked about, I think that justification is correct, especially since we still have one of our aces, Kyle Hendricks. And the fact of the matter is we're still not 10 games below, 5 below in the Central Division. So I have to say 21st I'm fine with. I don't think I can put us ahead of Cleveland. You could argue that we are better than the Boston Red Sox right now, who are having troubles of their own in their own division.
All right. So we got Jacob, the Pundits Pundit, coming up next to rebut that. He's got 2 minutes. Jacob, you're on the clock.
All right. 21. I think the only reason they're there is because Cincinnati's really, really bad. And guess what? We're heading toward the Field of Dreams game. Oh, that's going to be beautiful. The Field of Dreams game between the Reds and the Cubs in Iowa. Wow. I'm sure that's what Kevin Costner thought about. Anyway, well, main thing is it's definitely lower. Right now, at this point in time, Strowman is out. He's got an IL at this point in time, I believe 10 games. We've got, last night, Jan Gomes, he at this point in time, he really is not hitting well, but he is very much calling a decent game. But he's not the answer. There's Wilson Contreras. There's Wilson Contreras, but he is too inconsistent. 2 out hits came last night, but it hasn't been coming. After the 21-0, the shellacking, they just stopped hitting altogether. They also went 0-7. They went 0-6 in that week, got swept twice. They right away by itself, and you're now 8.5 games back in the same division that the Cardinals, and you know what the Cardinals will do. Now, forget Milwaukee. The Cardinals are just going to head. They're going to get hotter later. It's what they always do. This is the problem. This is the biggest problem they have at this point, is the fact that they're going to have to hope Hendricks gets hotter so they can go to the Mets, because they're going to be able to get that and go to see if they can get their draft picks. So once they get that, then he gets there so they can replace Jacob deGrom, who's going to be done for the year by about July. So that's one of the things right now, 21 and lower.
All right, so that was the Pundits Pundit. Jordan, you got a minute to reply, and then the Pundits Pundit will come back, and Mr. Cubfidentiality will crown a winner.
How can you justify us being lower than 21st? The Oakland Athletics are 10-15. They're playing even worse baseball than us. You look at even the Detroit Tigers, 24th. They're 8-15. We're better than those teams. So I think 21st, with all our injuries, is actually a perfect rating, because we're playing better baseball than all those teams. Plus, we are playing better baseball than the Boston Red Sox. So the fact of the matter is I think 21st is fine. I don't think we have to go lower than that.
Jordan's not wasting any time. He's getting right to his points. He doesn't realize that we are on a time frame, so I'm just going to speak a couple of seconds to waste some time. Thank you, Mr. Jordan Long. So now we got the Pundits Pundit coming back with his minute. I know I won't have any trouble with him using his time. Here he is, Jacob Christner.
I guess he wanted his 25 seconds. No. Records don't matter. You're talking about playing better baseball. No, the records really don't matter, because by itself, the wins can be 1-0. The losses can be, or loss can be 1-0, and the wins can be once a week, just like that 21-0 score. Everybody can have a hot streak one time, even the worst. And by itself, they're not hitting. They're not hitting the pit. They're either, and if they are hitting, the pitching doesn't go there. The bullpen isn't going right. Nothing's right. Nothing's there for that 21st, and they're going to get themselves worse. Last night was great because they had Hendricks, and Hendricks pitched a beautiful game. But in the end, who else do they have? Right now, you got Wade Miley. You have Wade Miley at this point in time. You have no Marcus Stroman. You're going back and forth with pitchers that go about 2 innings right now, and the bullpen is they are going crazy bad. So, and they're being overused, and they're not good to begin with. So, no question about it, it's going to get worse, and it's below 21st.
All right, so that was the Pundits Pundit. Now we're going to bring in Mr. Cubfidentiality to crown this week's Confrontation winner. I think this was a close one. This is a tough one to choose.
This one definitely was close, but that's what you get when you got all-stars on the Sideline Sports team with Cubfidentiality. Basically, and this was a bit of a difficult one because the Cubs are a struggling team. It probably would be easier if, say, the Cubs were in the top 5 or something like that. I thought that Jordan did a great job in justifying why they are 21st. While they're not inherently horrible, and it's still early, they're definitely not in the top 15 or anything like that. But Jacob also did an awesome job in justifying, like, they're 21st, but they're really worse than that. They may be slightly overrated. So, it's close. I'm going to have to give it to Jordan this week. Jordan, he, in my opinion, he justified why, like, hey, they are who they are right now. you know, and that 21st is 21st is where they're at. Where they need to be should be higher. They could be higher, you know, but most of all, what stood out is, like, you know, we're not as bad as people make us out to be. 21st is not really mid tier, but because I mean, out of 30 teams, it's like what? So you're headed toward the bottom. But I thought he did great in justifying that. Hey, that's right where they need to be.
All right. So who's the winner?
Jordan Long this week.
Nice, another win for Jordan. He's starting to rack them up. All right. So before we end the show tonight, make sure you check out Sideline Sports on YouTube, Twitter at Sideline Sports 1, Facebook. We have shows 7 nights a week. You heard about a bunch of different ones. You know, we have our own TV network. If you're not subscribing to the YouTube, you're missing out. Also, we're on Fox Sports 1340 down in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. So if you're a Cub fan living in that area, make sure you're watching us on their YouTube. But make sure you check it out. All these great shows. Here's just some of them. There you have it, guys. We'll see you next week with another Cubfidential. Make sure you subscribe on the YouTube. We're out.